Good evening. I call to order the Athens Shade Tree Commission for Thursday, October 12th. We have a relatively short agenda, so we have all people except for Nancy Walker, though we have a quorum because we do have our alternative, who's now not the alternative. The disposition of minutes, I apologize. I did not get to the minutes. We had four cases of COVID go through my house in the early month, so.
Glad you're okay.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Okay, I will get those out when I can. Okay, Title 33, tree permit, right-of-way issues, and public land issues. So, David Briggs.
Yeah, we had a request to remove 2 pine trees in an alley behind Ring, south of North Lancaster Drive. We had our public works crews take a look at it. They recommend that they stay in place because they seem to be healthy pine trees with no issues. But you guys have to have an opportunity to let us know what you would recommend.
Is that the house that has the pine tree that's very close to the building?
Yes.
So I already gave an opinion.
This is a different neighbor.
Oh, it's a different neighbor,
Yes.
but in the same neighborhood.
Same neighborhood, yeah.
Okay.
And it's 2 pine. They want 2 of them removed, not the one, but they want 2 of them removed.
Okay.
Was there any?
Did you send us the permit?
I sent it to Chris, yeah.
Chris, can you forward it to me? And I would be happy to be one of the people to go out and make a recommendation. I can do that this weekend.
Great, I will. Any other questions? Okay, Morris Avenue right away. Morris Avenue, Great Tree Caper.
We are still investigating.
Okay,
So the police are still investigating, I
Okay.
should say, yeah.
okay. Just for continuity's sakes, this was a tree that was taken down on Morris Avenue. And there is an investigation of why it was taken down and who is responsible, which is now at the police. So, questions? Great. Okay.
Is there anything that Shade Tree can do to facilitate that investigation? Or I think I gave you a bunch of information.
Yes, we did, yeah. We also had a lot of information from the Public Works Department where that property owner that the tree was in front of made a request to them several years ago to remove the tree, and they were told no, and then it disappeared.
Okay.
The Great Tree Caper will continue. Okay. Title 37, Landscape Ordinance Issues. Is there anything with that one?
I think the only thing is we still have an outstanding issue with the language for the pollinator garden that we need to take care of before we can join the pollinator pathway program.
Yep.
Right.
And we did get an application for pollinator.
I've got a new business, but I can bring it to you now.
Yeah, and I looked at it and I approved it. I don't know if
Okay.
anybody else wants to look at it. We need at least one person, but more people is better. They seem to be compliant and responsive in their application.
Great. So maybe what we need to do is loop Ben in also. I'm not sure who's going to be the person who's going to be the city council representative, but I bet it might be Beth. And so we might be able to put those and then get that rolling through council.
Sounds good. I think at this point, Dave, I don't want to speak for you, so correct me if I'm wrong. We came up with some language, but we felt like we had to share it with legal.
Yes. that's correct.
And so there are a few more steps before it will come.
And it's entirely my problem. I have just been so busy, I haven't had a chance to get to it.
Yeah, but we'll be able to get it rolling through and hopefully down by the end of the year.
That'd be great.
Great, thank you. Cool. There's no maintenance of the tree canopy that we know of?
I think we may have some coming in next month.
Okay.
Robin Todd Hunter. I've seen a couple of trees that she had questions about.
Okay, right,
Spoke to me about an hour and a half ago.
okay.
I was wondering if we could convince the master gardening group that has their outdoor pruning exercise, if they might be willing to take on some of the city trees. That way we'd get the expertise of Ed Brown, the, extension officer, and the master gardeners would,
That would be next spring
Right.
if we get enough applicants.
It would be like adopting a tree.
but maybe we could even do like a refresher course for the master gardeners and say, hey, who wants to do a refresher course on pruning? Let's go out, to Court Street in Washington and do some pruning.
Right.
You know, what we did during our training was fruit tree training.
Yeah,
trimming.
that's what we did too, but
But I think
might be
that's
able to
that's-
leverage them.
Yeah.
That'd be
that's-
great.
There's
So that would
also,
be good to get on the agenda for next month.
Ann Bonner's also, I think she spoke to you about the grants that are coming up,
She has a
which
report.
include landscape
Yeah.
pruning and,
Yeah, I did reach out to Andrew Chicky, and I specifically asked if the city was interested in pursuing those grants, because they have to be the applicant. They have not responded to me.
Okay.
Andrew's had COVID, so he's
Mm-hmm.
been out.
Yeah. So,
Okay. We can talk further about
Dave?
the submission.
without giving personal information, if I were to reach out to him this week, do you think he would likely
Yes,
respond?
yeah.
Okay.
He was actually in today. but
Okay,
he-
I'll reach out to him again.
Yep.
So this, we can put on old business for next month to talk about what's been update of what you did. You can always email us updates in the middle of the month.
I can always just come and sit on that side of the table.
True. So, you'd be our audience.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. New business, student work study person. I would like to get a new work study person, starting, I don't know when, maybe next semester, through the community people. I usually like to give them a couple projects to work from, like Zan, I had a couple projects, he wanted to work on the arbor. And so one of the projects would definitely be the continuation of that project, the arboretum. And then another one, I would probably try to get them to do something like pollinator or something, because that's something we can roll out in the spring. We can have a rollout of something that's going on. So I just wanted to get your feel about it. I'm more than happy to work with them.
Here's my thought. Andrew at some point had questioned whether or not commissions are empowered to have work study students directly, or if there has to be an agreement with the city, and then they're assigned to us. So you probably want to talk to Andrew just about the logistics, not about the topic.
Right. Well, it might be different than what we had in city council too. So,
Yeah. And it was a question. He wasn't even sure of
right,
the
and
answer.
I'm wondering if the program that it is, the Community Connections program, may have already answered the question too, so, great, okay. What do you think? Well, if we wanted to get somebody and they wanted to continue with the arboretum, not the arboretum. We would want some kind of like, real simple job description. You could help, because we talked briefly about that, cool, okay.
If that's the project structure.
Okay, well, I'll get with Andrew and we'll figure it out and I'll let you know. So, there might be also opportunity for people who have capstones, especially in planning, who may move through.
Yeah, Jeff DeValco's class in sustainability has worked with us in the past.
Right,
So,
so, okay, cool. Questions? Cool.
What's the cycle, the time cycle? I mean, do they come normally in the fall, the spring?
Oh, it's actually pretty varied. Like Zan came on halfway through the spring, and then, so it depends on when they see it and how much they have work study left over and whether they can transfer and stuff. So, it's very variable. I expect that we'll get somebody in spring, because they do have the semester thing. So, okay. So, tree plantings and stuff. You were You had the email out for all the tree plantings that Sam Crowell was talking about. Do you have those on the tip of your tongue?
No, I do not.
Oh, I have, let's see.
Ooh, what's going on with Sam? That's
are all
his
the-
sustainability?
Yes, these are all the ones out on the floodplain. That whole.
Are you talking about the Voinovich School
Yes,
grant? Okay, yes,
And Sam also sent around an invitation for it too.
yeah,
November
So,
4th, 10 to 12, rain or shine.
yep.
so.
Your shovels?
Golden shovels.
Yeah, bring your own shovel. They'll have some as well. So last year the holes were too big, and so we ended up spending way more time filling back the holes. This time they're not doing that. It was actually a lot of fun to do it. I worked with the Voinovich School to secure some of the funds. So now tonight we are supposed to approve their plan for trees.
Okay.
And
We can put that right now on the tree planting, we can approve that.
yeah, and basically it is the same group of trees that they did last time. So it's the various water tolerant oaks and also some of the deer resistant plants. I'm gonna see whether or not I can find it right now, but
Okay.
it's essentially what we approved last time. So I'm pretty happy with it.
How are the trees from last year?
They are doing extraordinarily well.
Cool.
Yes.
How many people showed up, roughly?
Last year, let's see, they had the UPS team. I think it was, or what?
I love it.
I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think it was them. Total, maybe 30, 40 people. It was, and it was raining, and it was chilly. It was wonderful. They did a superb job. Absolutely superb. Okay, so I'm opening up the document right
We're
now.
asking for an RSVP by October 25th.
Yes, and I have RSVP'd, so hopefully other people will as well. Okay, so they have bald cypress, very water tolerant, also tolerant of some compaction. They also have swamp white oak, pin oak, river birch, and sycamore. And that is it. So it looks like they've got 6 bald cypress and they've got 3 clusters of 4 trees each of the oak and the birch and the sycamore. The holes will be dug by Greenleaf. The volunteers will be organized. They will be taught how to plant the trees properly, as instructed by Ann Bonner last year. And yeah.
Okay. So why don't you make a motion that we accept that
I
plan?
make a motion that we accept gratefully to this group.
Great. Second? Any question?
Huge shout out to Jen for organizing.
Yep. So, all in favor?
I,
Great. Opposed? Thank
Nay.
you. Any other new business? Nope.
Trees are in.
yeah, I wanted to bring up something. Hold on, I'm just telling Jen, plan approved. Because I don't want to forget, because she needs to know that. I have really enjoyed being on Shade Tree, but my 3 years are up. And yes, I will probably consult occasionally. Happy to do that. I brought the 2 of you in. I wrangled you all. And so I personally think we need to bring in 2 or 3 people. Nancy has historically been an extremely active member, but as of late has not been as active. I don't know where she is in terms of her term and also in terms of her abilities, but you might want to reach out to her. My suggestions would be that you find somebody who loves to go out and look at trees on behalf of the code office and is willing to make some determinations. I think that somebody who is willing to work with the neighbors and to help them select trees, and you don't do that in a vacuum, you can do that with Ann Bonner. And it doesn't even have to be a new person, it maybe can be an existing person who wants to step into those roles. I also think that the pollinator program, if we're going to grow that, we really need somebody to take ownership, and that was going to be me. I'll still be doing Athens and Bloom, and there's some discussion about whether or not Athens and Bloom is going to come under the purview of one of the existing committees, or if we'll just continue to be standalone. So,
Okay.
but
So, so December would be your last meeting.
yeah, well, either November or December, I
Okay.
assume. Yeah. So-
Sad. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Right. And there is one person that has been suggested that is going before the city council. That's been suggested by the mayor. So we'll have
Okay, but
another body.
I think that's great, but I really do think you need even more than that to
Right.
get what you need to get done without being overwhelmed.
Right. Well, I've thought that this committee needs to maybe have 7 people on it, like the.
Well, the bylaws allow us to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that.
Well,
so-
the Sustainability Commission has but 9, I think 9 on it. It started out with 5 and then it just kept building. So that's something we can look at in the new year when plantings and everything are all done.
Is city council sending somebody to replace Ben?
I think it will be Beth.
Yes.
Will be a new
Ludlow?
council person. Yes, Beth. I'm hoping. So, she's hoping. So Sam will be hoping too once we tell him. So,
Hey, Sam, in case you're listening.
well, I think he already
Oh, I'm
knows.
sorry, Beth.
So thank you, and we'll figure out when the next meeting is. I
Yeah.
would think that November is probably easy. People want probably December off, so let's
Either
make
one.
next month
Yeah.
the last month, because then people can go on vacation.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so that we'll make that. And there might be things in our bylaws, but I don't think our bylaws will be passed fully by then about our annual meeting, which is fine. We can do it next year.
So, our Arbor Day application is going to be due soon, right?
That's December 1st.
And Andrew is going to need help with that, and I told him that I would
Right.
be happy to work with him on that.
Okay.
Now, we're supposed to have an Arbor Day event, and I think what we're gonna do is say that the November 4th planting is our Arbor Day event.
That's the understanding. That's the understanding.
Yeah,
So,
so-
yeah, that makes it much easier.
But that means that people who are there, if you can, take pictures, because our
we put it
Arbor
on.
Day application needs pictures, but you need to just ask the people
Right.
that they're okay having their, their picture.
And there'll be film.
Do we
they'll be
need a
out.
written form for them to sign off on?
No, they can email you. They can literally just say, yes, I give you permission. And that's fine. This is all educational, so theoretically, we don't need photo releases, but it's our preference that we have them for the application. So,
Cool.
yeah.
That makes it easier.
And
Questions?
also, our trees at the community center are doing very well too.
Yeah, I saw
So the
that,
trees
yeah.
that we planted last year, and I think also the baseball fields, they looked pretty good too.
And it was a really nice summer for them, and it was a
Yeah,
happy
well-
summer.
A little dry, but yeah.
So, okay. Any other new business? So, old business, you discussed briefly the grant that will not be submitted.
I
The
don't
large-
know. I will talk to Andrew,
Okay.
and
So you're going to contact him this week.
yes, I will
Okay.
contact him.
So if you can go forward, does does the commission want her to go forward with this big grant? Which big grant?
So there are two big grants, actually. There are
big
two
grant.
grants. One's ODNR, and the other one I can't remember if it is ODNR or not. But basically, one of the grants that we submitted last year where we were disqualified on a technicality, they've actually allowed stump removal now. So, and Anne
Anne
looked
was
through
like-
the application and she gave comments, so we know how we could revise if we want to. The proposal was predicated on an enhancement of the existing neighborhood tree program that we're doing. So right now, we're planting about 10 trees. This would be 50. And a big thing is whether or not the city can take that on. And they really need to be committed because it's a bear. The other, and this is for, the first application is for neighborhoods in distressed areas. And believe it or not, not all of Athens city is considered distressed. It's the northern section. And so the city has to decide whether or not that's where they want to plant trees. Then there's another application where it's open to everybody, like last year's application. But theoretically, both programs would accept our tree planting program as, part of it. As a backup plan, I had contacted Jen Bowman, who was great, and went and secured funds for the riparian project. So if we go after the grants, great. If not, we have our wonderful backup plan with the Voinovich School with their resources, so we will continue to plant trees.
But just think if we
So,
can,
yeah, well, maybe we can work with Mary's group again too and do more tree
what
planting.
she's there for. That's that group right there would be the perfect ones to help with that project.
Yep.
Yeah, Mary Reed, we have a memorandum of understanding with Mary Reed's group, which is the Athens Arbor Day Committee, to do tree planting and stuff, and work with them, and they're kind of our tree planting people.
Yeah.
So like if we did something, it actually kind of came up a lot when we were doing beautification days before COVID. We were doing strictly tree planting from the city council part of view, and we used them. It was a lot of fun.
And the other tree planting project that we're gonna have is, as the city does their renovations uptown, they will be replacing trees this year in the wells where they're vacant. But also they are going to be expanding and revising some of the city plans to incorporate more trees, like on Washington, I think it is. And so we've already been in discussion with city planning. And so 2 years from now, we'll be doing those tree plantings. So, yeah.
So Michael and I went to the tree care conference.
Okay.
And one of the
great.
presentations was, what was it called? The very first one. With it was container systems for city planting, like
Yeah.
street side planting trees.
Nice. So
It was-
maybe we will have you guys consult with the city. No, seriously, it's a problem, You think about putting a tree in a pot and you think, oh my God, that'll never work. Well, essentially, that's what you're doing when you're putting them in the sidewalk, is you're just putting them in a very large pot.
These are
And
these are
it's gotta be
systems that
done well.
allow for the roots to get to what they need to get to and
Nice.
not get what they don't need.
Well, I'm sure that Jessica would love to have some
Yeah.
input on that.
Conference was very interesting.
Good, thank you
great.
for going.
So Roxanne, the ODNR grant for neighborhood tree planting, you said it had to be in distressed neighborhoods.
The first
Economically
one
distressed?
does. Yeah, the first one is
Just
economically
clarification.
distressed, and it's, I think, the EPA guide. I can look. I sent it to Andrew. I can forward it on to you. But there's a map that shows which areas would qualify for that particular grant. And then the other one is just open.
Okay, that sounds good. Yay, thank you. She's gonna go out with a big bang. I mean, totally, Okay, and now to the benighted bylaws. Okay, we are, I think, probably the last group to get them in. Oh, well. Oops. Maybe not the last, but,
Then hold out.
we can do it. We can do it. So I sent out the pretty much last one that I had gotten information out from like yesterday or something. And then I sent one in an email out with what Jim had given us about when the ordinance was. However, I think there's 2 ordinances for us. So I should ask Patty. I should ask actually
You know
Debbie.
what, the date of, what was it, 546?
562, which was on March 11th, 1929.
So that's the old,
That's the old one. So, it's interesting, because if it's ordinance 562, they had a lot of ordinances that year. So, so they probably have different numbering. And I can ask Debbie, the clerk, so. Because we can put both in. We're awesome. Nobody else has that. Okay,
For some reason, it's not coming up.
so I put in the things that were, it's mostly all the stuff that we talked about last time. I did put a little mission statement in, and then there was just kind of some things for like housekeeping sort of stuff, and that was stuff in italics. So,
My big thing, and it's not against you personally at all, it's about chairs in general and just appointments to committees.
right.
And
And I changed all that. That makes
Perfect,
sense.
yeah.
Because this one came out, I think, the template was the Disability Commission. I think that they are much more rule-bound with some of their work.
That's not us.
No. So you'll see in the italicized part that a lot of that was changed with, if the chair is not there, I could designate somebody. And then everybody gets to vote on committees and consultants, pretty much. We can all work by consensus, but I didn't put that in because that's not in Robert Rule of Order. Anyway, so, the next step for this, after we kind of vote on it, saying, yeah, it looks pretty good, is for it to go to Lisa Eliason to be overviewed by law things. So, questions?
Yeah, just 2 comments or questions. I guess financial, like do we have to say anything like how we can spend money?
No, we're bound by rules of the city. So we can't spend money without appropriation. So we would put a budget
There's a
in.
section, there's a financial affairs, and it just says what the fiscal year is. So
I don't know, if this came from the disability, they must have a budget too. I don't know how that
Nope,
works.
we're the only ones that have a budget as far as I
The
know.
ones who have a budget?
Yep, because I
That's it.
insisted on it in order to step onto the board.
Let's get Lisa to provide wording for that, because I don't really wanna.
Basically, our budget is approved by the city, so there's not a lot that you can do. You can put in though that Shade Tree submits a budget for city approval.
I mean,
Well,
how do we decide there's nothing about us spending money.
Right. And so there needs to be something about how we approve of and appropriate money. So, I don't,
Well, basically, yeah, but
Right.
basically it's the city tells you what their priorities are, and then you tell them the plan. So they give you the priority, you create the plan, and then
but
they approve the budget.
Yeah, like but when we spend money, am I the final approval person? Or is David the final approval person if we say we want to spend $1,000?
Or even the tree bank, which is.
Or the tree bank sort of thing? I think that this needs,
Okay.
Yeah.
But the way that it's worked in the past is we submitted a budget, and as long as we stayed within our budget item lines, then
Right.
we were already pre-approved for it, so.
so we were pre-approved for $5,000 to be spent like how we want it.
No, to be spent on plantings
Yeah.
of trees, and, we have a breakdown of the budget.
what about
Right.
maintenance of trees?
Right.
Beginning, one of the
That'd be
things that
great.
Robin brought up was some trees
Right
on
now, there isn't.
trees on the west side that are being
Right.
taken over by honeysuckle and.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more of how do we approve spending? and their that we establish priorities, and then we need to say, yeah, this $50 we're going to, I mean, city council doesn't care for certain things up to a certain amount of money. But we need to, when somebody brings a bill to us because they did something, how do we say, yeah, that's a good piece of,
You don't ever have a bill. This is what doesn't make sense to me. So for example, when we have the tree planting, we have a budget where the city has negotiated for green leaf, and it's $225 a tree, let's just say. What Andrew says is you have $5,000 for planting trees. And so then I go, okay, 5,000 divided by 225 equals X number of trees, and that's how many trees we can approve in our tree planting plan. So what we're doing is we're approving the plan. We are not approving the budget.
okay. I'd like to have Lisa at least give some language for that, because I don't.
Yeah.
know.
And also involve Andrew.
Andrew,
Yeah.
okay. Because it may just be that we have to put how we get a budget in the bylaws. Okay.
Yeah.
So once we get these couple of questions answered, I let you know all the changes, and then if they're good to go, I can give it
Yeah.
to Patty, so she's not mad at me anymore.
I don't want Patty mad at you.
No.
The annual meeting, we haven't had an annual meeting, right?
No, and we're not going to have
have-
one until next year because our bylaws are not
But is
approved
it
yet.
gonna be like submitting reports and things like?
Well, that's, I think that is more, when we had our other committees before we got in trouble about sunshine, we did do verbal committee reports. So I think that what probably should happen at the annual meeting is that there should just be a general report. And then that could be given to city council, is what so if people have really good committee reports, then they can report it. So, make plans and stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Outside my realm of experience.
I know. Their bylaws, they are flexible, truly. So, okay. So I'll forward it with the questions answered, and then I'll let you know what Lisa says. And then hopefully we'll be off our old business agenda. So, okay. Cool. So,
And I just sent to you guys the information on the disadvantaged, it's called the disadvantaged RFP, but it hasn't been released as far as I know in its final form. And also a summary of both grants.
cool.
But we'll see
Okay.
what the city wants to do.
Yep. Okay. So I think that is all of our agenda items, but there is, the next meeting will be November 9th. We will have that as the last meeting. And if there's anybody who wants to talk,
Uh-oh,
speak.
you have a problem on November
I
9th?
think I'm out of town.
Okay,
We can do it
we can do
December, or we can do it without you.
it. We'll have our other person by then,
Yeah.
so, and we'll go.
No, we won't have our other person, they don't come on until January, do they? Or is this a replacement for a current vacancy?
I think that it was supposed to be put on, agenda for the city council,
Ooh, okay, cool.
so. Yeah, we'll take a body,
Yeah,
thank you.
gladly.
Oh my God, if it's.
Especially an able one.
So, okay, there's nobody talking about things outside of the agenda. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Thank you. Second?
I got.
Thank you. All in favor?
I.
Thank you.